Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Game Hub. I'm your host, Gamer K, and today we are going to do another kind of idea video. Well, the game announcements for the next year have been done, and quite surprisingly, we didn't get anything from our web-swinging heroes of Insomniac. However, we did get Wolverine, which I will be reviewing next year. Hopefully, maybe I'll make it my first review for the new year. Maybe I'll do that. But today, I'm a little intrigued with more of the Spider-Man because the new Spider-Man trailer movie came out just today. I'm a little skeptical. Because, well, that's just basically what I am. But overall, for the games, we haven't heard much of Miles or Peter in a long time, and it's time for me to kind of get more ideas on what could happen in the next length of Insomniac Spider-Man. I'm kind of hoping we get 2 different games from it. So bear with me because these are ideas I've tweaked a little bit from my last video many years ago on what Spider-Man 2 could be, and I actually got some of it right, which I'm scared about that I got that right. So this video is all about my 2 ideas for 2 different games. One would be what could happen in Spider-Man 3, or if none of that works, they could definitely do it for a Miles sequel, specifically focusing on him, as he is now Spider-Man, because I get the feeling we're going to be doing something where Peter finally gives up. I swear to God, if they kill Peter at the end of this of the 3rd game, I'm going to go batshit. And also the 2nd game being a prequel game, basically kind of what Arkham Origins did, where we have the first few years of Peter being Spider-Man and all the villains starting to rise up. I mean, obviously we all know what happens, but still, same thing with Arkham Origins. Okay. So, going into the first section of this, which is the sequel game, Spider-Man 3. Just grab a swig. Now, since one of the games took place during the wintertime, and I want to say Spider-Man 2 took place kind of during fall. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that doesn't matter. Spider-Man 3 could definitely take place to a year and a half after the events of Spider-Man 2, giving Osborn a lot of time to develop the G serum that he said, and to build more of the technology of what I hope we're getting is an amazing Green Goblin. And obviously with Doc Ock kind of finalizing being a part of it, with him writing the final chapter at the end of Spider-Man 2. I really, really hope we get a really, really good moment with what they did here. With having Norman go to him and wanting to know information, but obviously he's not going to say anything. So hopefully we get a lot of good moments, good scenes, good boss fights with these 2. So, going into it, Peter and MJ are finally living and having a life together. And it's good. It's good. I get really cheerful when it comes to stuff like this. Peter has taken a step back from being Spider-Man, but not 100%, allowing Miles to still take care of everything. They finally moved in, and Peter finally realizes he needs to stop beating around the bush with everything. Because everything that happened last game, him and MJ worked out a lot of things and everything, and they're in a good place. They're in a really good place. So Peter decides it's finally time to pop the question to MJ. I mean, why not, right? Dare I say, why not? Let's just skip the part of her, the restaurant glass thing, because Maguire already did that, so we don't need Yuri doing it. But obviously during all that, trouble happens at every opportunity for his proposals. But let's not do the bullshit thing where the proposal's at the very end of the game, because that's all dumb. I hate when shit is always done like that. But have it being done like mid of the game, like after a bunch of boss fights, after halfway through, Peter decides he's wasting time waiting for the right moment. So he brings MJ to his favorite spot, which is on top of the Empire State Building where he took that photo of that we find in the first game's collectibles. And he basically tells her, like, this is the best, his favorite spot, and he wants to make it his more favorite spot, and then he proposes her. MJ accidentally trips, but he's already prepared like a web net underneath there because he thought it was going to happen. And then he hangs upside down and crawls down to her and kind of jokingly asks, so was that a falling yes or a falling no? And then she just pulls the mask down and they get that good scene and they kiss and she says yes. So it's a good moment like that. We need that kind of moment because we pretty much done a lot of good stuff in the games. On the flip side of things, Miles is still going through some new stuff as well. Like his mom dating this other guy whose daughter is Silk. Okay, I'm going to be honest. Again, outside of Spider-Man and the X-Men and the movies, my knowledge on Marvel is not as good as what it is with the Batman series. But Cindy Moon, Silk. Do you think they're going to have her become Silk during the game, so we'll have a third character? Or is that going to lead us into a DLC story or into a new Miles game? I'm kind of on the fence of which one they'll do in this one. So I'm kind of hoping they don't make Silk's a character in this yet. Still have Cindy, still have her and Miles kind of connecting a little bit because their parents are dating. Miles having a lot of things that his own problems with his mom, school, Harlem all knowing who he is, his relationship with Haley and his friendship with Genki. I say, as much as I love Genki, let's give him a game where he's not in the picture, like he's overseas at the doing that school program thing that he talked about in the second game. And Haley's still doing her art, and we still get cute moments between her and Miles. It would be so great to have them go on a date. He apologizes, and to make up for it, he takes her out swinging out in the city. Swinging around the city. I gotta watch how I word things. So to kind of give him a glimpse at her, to give her a glimpse of his new world and everything. And afterwards, he calls Peter for advice on how do you balance superheroing and girlfriends. And it's a lot more complicated than it works. But he'll kind of make a sly comment about, it kind of worked when the one you're dating was also a supervillain, so it kind of counts. And then MJ probably punches him because it's talking about Black Cat. A lot of cute, fun moments, because this is one thing I love about the Insomniacs series of Spider-Man, is that they do the characters well, and Yuri has a lot of the Josh Keaton in him of rapport and quips. Because he played older Ben 10, I kind of expect it because he's got the quips down. He's got that personality down. Let's see. And now I talk about story. Obviously, this one's going to focus on Norman finally becoming the Goblin. Finally, we had 2 games where it didn't happen. And I'm glad they didn't do it right off the bat, because honestly, what Norman was in the first game and then what he is in the second game, you can see the disintegration of his sanity and his... but I love this Norman. It's a Norman that actually cares about Harry. And I am so for it that they didn't pull a bullshit of what Willem Dafoe did, or the actor who was the spectacular Spider-Man, Norman Osborn. This one is actually a great, caring father figure, wanting to do what he's going to do to save his son. Albeit not in the best of ways, but at the same time, now we're in the Goblin stage, and I'm hoping we get 2 different boss fights with this. One throughout the city on his glider, and then after, like, near the end, when it realizes that he's got nothing left, so he takes a big injection of the green serum, and it mutates him into a monstrous form of goblin. Something along the lines of what Venom was. And going throughout the city, the final battle on top of Osborn Tower, just like we did in the first game. And I've said this in a previous video, that there is a Spider-Man villain that has been sorely neglected since the 1994 series. And yeah, I guess you can say he was in the Amazing Spider-Man video game. Yeah, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about that. I am talking about a character that is so poorly utilized in any other Spider-Man series outside of the 94. Like I said, Alistair Smythe, one of my all-time favorite villains, because he's not what the other villains are. He's not a criminal. He's not okay, he technically does become a villain, but he's not a petty criminal who gets weapon upgrades and experiments done on him. For what I'm thinking for Spider-Man 3 is because we have 2 Spider-Man, and maybe a third with Silk if it happens. We have 3 big villains possibly. Doc Ock, Green Goblin, and Smythe. And they can tweak Smythe to making him being Miles' own villain. I mean, they tried doing it with Tinkerer, and as much as I've grown to love her now, it was kind of a letdown. Yeah. And the Roxxon jackass, which was basically just Troy Baker in business attire. But for Alistair Smythe, we can get a character that is sorely needed, and something that feels not just evil, but vengeful and vindictive, like we've had throughout the last 2 games. Alistair Smythe and I'm basing this on what I know from the series and building him up in the game. He could have been a well-known genius prodigy, but an accident happened and left him paralyzed from the waist down. So he's a paraplegic. But his genius still works in many ways. Robotics, engineering, gene splicing. And after all this, for years, he's seen the Spider-Man on the news, thinking he's got spectacular powers, pun intended. And then after finding out that there's another one, and being a genius, he's kind of envious, kind of has a grandiose opinion about himself. Hang on, let me see. There we go. I always keep my notes handy just in case. So after watching for years and being fueled by anger that he is an absolute genius, like he thinks so highly of himself, that he's smarter than everyone else, and a stupid, dumb accident put him in a wheelchair, but these 2 heroes, these regular people, got abilities that made them heroes, that made them loved and cared, while he is not popularity, but even though he's a genius, people have forgotten him. So he's furious about what makes them so special. So he decides to test it out. Using some robotic technology that he stole, he creates the Spider Slayer boss fights. The Black Widow, the Tarantula, and the Deathstalker Scorpion robots. These will be going after both Miles and Spider-Man for like the second half of after we defeat the Green Goblin and he retreats for a while. But Alistair's been a big player since the start of the game. I don't really know, again, of everything that's going on. These are just basic ideas. And during the fights, he analyzes the spiders' patterns and analyzes their abilities and their gadgets. After each defeat, he learns more. And then during one fight, his Spider Slayers were able to scratch them, obtaining a piece of their DNA, where he analyzes both of them and tries to splice them together to try to figure out what made them what they are. And after unveiling himself as a master criminal to the New York City, not unveiling himself, but being a masked figure or in shadows, he claims that the Spider-Man are just regular people, and why are they so loved? What makes them so, again, basically putting down the Spider-Man. They put so many people at risk with their powers that it attracts other villains. And obviously, J. Jonah Jameson jumped at the chance to go all on board on this. We need Jameson to make a full physical appearance, and not just in the start of each game. Actually, it was just the Miles Morales one and number 2 where he makes a physical appearance, so we need a little bit more. Oh, and the flashback mission with Peter. So, we still need J. Jonah Jameson. And after the end and this is more focused on Miles, because after kind of accidentally figuring out Miles' weakness when his surveillance drones spot Miles defending Haley. So he goes after her and Rio Morales, considering since it's Brooklyn Spider-Man, Harlem Spider-Man, sorry. Goes after the big political figure there. Going after them, not knowing the full connection between Miles. Boss fights ensues, and Smythe finds out who Miles is, and he's just a kid. A plain, simple kid. And that's when Smythe goes on his big rant. Like I've said before, what made you so special that you got this gift? What literally makes you more important than a guy like me? Miles can basically said, I just got a bad bug bite. And the boss fight ensues with the combined Spider Slayer mecha. And after he saves Rio and Haley, they get out of there thinking that Alistair is dead, after the whole area collapses after the boss fight. And towards the end game of the series, of the game, Smythe and Norman work together to take down the Spider-Man. Doc Ock obviously will not be involved in this. He'll be his own thing, I hope. And after taking Norman on his deal afterwards, and at this point they still don't know that Green Goblin is Norman, but Norman just comes to Alistair Smythe to try to help him. Smythe uses his lab and resources to splice the Spider-Man DNA with the Green Goblin DNA, with the serum that they did, unbeknownst to Norman, and creates 2 sets of the super strain. When they're injected, Smythe becomes his own mutated form, and later, like I said, late at the end game of the game, final boss fight, Norman injects himself with the last remaining of the green, not knowing that Smythe spliced it, creating him into the Goblin. These ideas sound really far-fetched and everything, but it's something that could definitely be great. Have a final boss for both Miles and Peter, finally settling the score. Peter finally calming down Norman and putting him to rest, and Miles going after Smythe. It's taking a well-known villain, a not so well-known villain, and giving him a big stage and a big upgrade that is sorely needed. So sorely needed. I'm not even joking. And in terms of a voice actor for Smythe, man, there's just so many voice actors that they could do for this. And I honestly can't pick a voice. We just need someone with that kind of intelligence about him. We need a great voice actor to play Alistair Smythe if they ever decide to do it. Let's see. What else do I have? Oh, and also, since Doc Ock is also in this game, obviously, after we defeat Alistair and Osborn, Doc Ock will come and finish the pieces, basically letting them weaken the Spider-Man so he can come out and finish the job. And then it's a duo boss fight where you control Miles and Spider-Man, finishing it off with one final boss fight. Now, story aside, here are some mission ideas. Let me think. Let's see. One thing they did with Miles that they didn't fully do in number 2 is have Wilson Fisk come back. I loved his character and the fact that he was slowly taking back Harlem while he was still in prison. Also, Travis Willingham, great voice actor. Love him to death. Need him more in the third game. We need him as a side story mission. Where he is, again, slowly trying to retake old areas throughout New York, but secretly still trying to get back all the ones that he tried to take out in Harlem and to get revenge on Miles, who stopped him last time. All of it plans after we stop a lot of his schemes. We find out that he's breaking out of Iron Heights, so we swing quickly there for a boss fight with Wilson there. Easy. Basically stopping him getting out before he even gets out. We need more photography missions with Peter, which I do love those. Helping MJ with some lice in New York City. Stuff going basically to known places for locals of New York for kind of a fluff piece about New York City. I think it could be great. We could go to... It would be really cool. Also, we need flashback mission. No, save the flashback stuff for the prequel game. We need a lot more of J. Jonah Jameson again with his Just the Facts and all the newspapers. Like what they did with the first game, having Jonah print out newspapers during specific story and side mission parts. It was fun. It was something cool. And it basically gave you stuff on what the public is going to think of you because of those newspapers. Collectibles. Photos, more memory items that were done, kind of thinking back in the olden days and of all the villains that you fought, and all the friendly characters that you met. A lot more friendly neighborhood Spider-Man missions. They definitely need to do a memoriam for Howard, the pigeon guy, because I knew what that mission was going for the minute we started it, and I cried at the end because, goddamn, great character and a great. This is one thing that these games do great, is that they build a world where you actually care about the characters that you interact with. A Stan Lee Easter egg would be really, really cool. And what would be really fun is what we were able to do in Arkham City is when choppers are flying by, if we could web stick to them and hang upside down while we're on the helicopter. Why haven't they done that? I think that would be really cool. And now for quick side missions. We got Chameleon in the last game, so... And I hope it's not the one that we got in Craven. Because, god damn it, did they not even try. It could be a fun side mission where Chameleon is pretending to be someone within a crowded area, and he's trying to task the spiders of trying to find him. But we have to discern who is who, because it would be a fun little game for him to prove that his brother failed to be the ultimate predator, so he wants to be the perfect prey. Someone who can easily change into someone else at a moment's notice and try to fight them. Even though Spider-Man fought him a while ago and that was proven, if Peter did the side mission, we need to put him away for good. And then I'm hoping we get Cassidy back. They really freaking pulled the wool over my eyes with that cutscene, with that mission, with the brand guy, the fire, the cleansing, the anarchy. I'm like, is this an original character? And then at the end, when they said Cletus Cassidy, I'm like, and then the symbiote that turned red. Oh, to the people who leaked the DLC stuff, I hate you. I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. We could have had something really, really amazing. We need Carnage. Have Yuri come back afterwards, but it's no longer fires that he's starting. It's absolute massacres. And he's starting to learn about Carnage. Like, imagine if he's using it, but it's not fully taken effect, and he's just using it as a weapon. But then as the Spider-Man gets closer and we get more cutscenes, he starts to lose his rage. His rage begins to build, and the symbiote fully takes over and becomes Carnage. Steve Bloom, you need to come back as Carnage. We need you, Steve. I guess we could have another villain come out of the woodworks for Miles. Hydro Man, maybe. I mean, that's another villain that's never used as much, and I could see it being a cool little boss fight. All right. And that's pretty much the ideas for Spider-Man 3. Now let's talk about my ideas for the prequel game, which are set within the first few years of Peter getting the bug bite. I mean, it doesn't start exactly there, but throughout the game we'll have side mission flashbacks that will kind of showcase. It kind of will happen like right after the first chapter of the game, where Peter's starting to like kind of wonder like if what he's doing is making a difference, because there's a lot of damage that's been caused. Not a lot of supervillains yet. I mean, the fact that Vulture was his first boss fight and he was already put away because Peter stopped him already. But more so of basic criminals and the gangsters and the criminal enterprises that happen during this. People still get hurt, damage to the city. And the flashbacks go to how it all happened. Basically, to when he first got that bug bite at Oscorp, to his first interactions with MJ and all that. Like, he tried to ask her out, but then and Spider-Man had to go, so he lost his shot. But then afterwards, he runs into her again and stands up for her from her date. So we can easily get good moments like that. And also for a flashback boss fight, we need to go back to the high school for him to have a boss fight with Flash Thompson. We have yet to have Flash in this goddamn game. and yet he's a big character for Spider-Man, for Peter. So can we do like a small boss fight where first Peter is all weak, and then we do another boss fight later with after the spider and he starts controlling his powers, where he completely one-ups Flash? I think it would be really, really cool. And then we could obviously have the scenes with Uncle Ben doing giving him the whole with great power speech, having the fight boss fight to get the money. And then we do that whole scene. Obviously, they'll do it in a different way of Peter letting the criminal go, and then the Uncle Ben death scene and everything. And we find the guy, and it's a stealth section. We need to do something like this, because it would definitely... I mean, we've had a lot of great moments within the Spider-Man games. Peter losing Aunt May, Peter almost losing MJ, and Peter almost losing himself to the symbiote. Fully getting Uncle Ben's section in this prequel for side missions of memories could definitely be something that is needed. Because it is the first few years, he'll have simple gadgets. Not so much of the villains. Definitely have a little flirtation moments with Black Cat as she first comes out of the woodworks as a thief. We get a lot of chase scenes, a lot of good moments. Parts where he's somewhat dating MJ, and then, you know, a whole lot of that stuff. And like I did with Alistair Smythe, from the Spider-Man 3 video game, or Spider-Man 2, whichever one it was, there was a great villain that was created for that game. Something Carlisle, the Mad Bomber, who was a businessman who became a terrorist, well, a local terrorist, because J. Jonah Jameson did a piece on his corporation, which resulted in the cops and the DA investigating and finding out a lot of malfeasance, getting the company shut down, and Carlisle disgraced. So he becomes the Mad Bomber to get revenge on everyone who he deems responsible for destroying his life. The police, the DA's office, and of course, the Daily Bugle itself. And him having himself this kind of mechanized bomber suit, like he did in the game. It could be a good throwback to an older Spider-Man game that could definitely give something a little bit more to the prequels, to the prequel game. Oh, Spider-Man 2, it was Spider-Man 2. So we can and the trophy can be Spider-Man, you're fired! As an homage to, again, all that. And at least in this game, we won't have to be delivering pizza to Emily Deschanel. That was a weird cameo. Anyway, story-wise for this prequel, basically, again, Peter still adjusting to life a year or two after Uncle Ben. Aunt May starting with Feast in a while. Before the whole Martin Lee incident. Fisk being a major player. Working for the Daily Bugle. Doing more photo op side missions. More villains coming out. Maybe Sandman as a fight. Rhino, Scorpio, Electro, kind of doing more when they were very first becoming villains and everything. And final boss fight could be, let me think, Doc Ock wasn't a villain yet, so maybe a Sinister Six boss fight. Minus Doc Ock, like we get Shocker, Electro, Scorpion, Rhino, Mysterio, and the Lizard. So during an entire thing, there's a break at the final of the game when Peter's starting to believe that he's not strong enough to go to do all this, and kind of, again, knowing that he's Spider-Man, Aunt May gives him a pep talk about sometimes you just can't run from responsibilities, and because if you don't do it, who would? Obviously giving him a little hint, and even getting a little talking up from, like, obviously the city's in chaos, the mobsters are, Wilson Fisk and the mobsters, the Magia, are all taking power, and the supervillains are trying to escape the raft. And even Jameson can give a little, so when he's not there as Peter, he's there as Spider-Man, and he overhears Jameson basically saying, like, everything's in chaos. And in a one split second moment of solitude, when he's alone in his office, he briefly says, if anyone has to save that city, the city, that web crawler better be the one. And then he starts, because everything's so terrible now, because there's fights everywhere. The police force are crippled because of the supervillains. And basically at this point, the newspapers and the public have been bashing Spider-Man being a menace and being not a villain, but being responsible for these villains. So Peter starts having second thoughts of having this. And then there's that one scene where he sees a picture of Uncle Ben and remembers that with the great power comes with great responsibility. So he dons the suit. He swings by the Daily Bugle saying, Jameson, thanks for the pep talk. And then he opens the window and curses him out as he's making his way to the raft where all the villains are basically planning an entire prison break. To where we get an amazing 1-on-6 fight with the Lizard, Mysterio, Shocker, Electro, Rhino, and Scorpion. An amazing 6-on-1 boss fight for an impeccable, amazing final fight for the prequel. You know what? I kind of amaze myself once in a while when I come up with these ideas. I mean, I know I'm just I'm a cheap Canadian who's coming up with ideas, possibly some weird ideas, but at the same time, I still love these ideas because I love saying what could happen, and then my mind is either disappointed or blown away with what could actually happen. And honestly, I'm hoping a lot of these ideas are seen by people from Insomniac or the developers, the creators, the writers, anything. I would 100% enjoy having this be a cool moment and a cool prequel. I just really hope we get one because Batman has had Shadows and Origins, so why not give Spider-Man a prequel game to dive us headfirst into Spider-Man's earlier years? Yeah, I think this could be a good thing. And that's it for this week, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe down below. Are my ideas a little bit out there? Are they a little crazy? Maybe I'm overthinking things. What do you guys think? Well, join me next week where I end the month of June with an old video that me and E did last year, where we are going to hell in a handbasket with one part of one of my favorite reactor couples. And thank God I didn't make a stupid Scottish joke. This is Gamer K, logging out.